the red subscribe button right under the video and also the bell icon to get notification on any of our latest updates on the videos.
Good day everyone, welcome to Smart Book Guides tutorial. In this tutorial we are asked to solve the root locus of the following system having a unity feedback. Okay, from the system we are having g of s to be k all over x square plus 3s plus 2 and our unity feedback head of h of s to be equals to 1. Okay, now the denominator g of n all over g of d will be equals to k all over x square plus 3s plus 2 and h of s having our denominator h of n and denominator h of d to be equals to 1 and 1. Okay, the next thing we have to do now is to find the characteristic equation. Okay, we all know the general formula of the characteristic equation is gd hd plus gn hn all equals to 0. Okay, from above we have already found the value of gd the value of g was found to be x square plus 3s plus 2 and our hd was found to be 1 then plus our g of n, the value of g of n is k and h of n is equal to 1 all equals to 0. Now for that simplify we are having x square plus 3s plus 2 plus k all equals to 0. Now from here we can find our zeros and poles. Now for that simplifying using quadratic equation, that is by factorizing, having x into s plus 2 plus 1 into s plus 2, then having s plus 1 s plus 2 equals to 0. Okay, now the next step here is to find what's the poles and the zeros. So our poles will be at when s is equals to minus 1 and when s is equals to minus 2. And we are not having any poles here and we are not having any zero here. Zero supposed to be nil. So we can draw the poles and zero on our S-plane. We are having a pole at when s is equals to minus 1 and now when s is equals to minus 2. So after finding these poles and zero, we are going to find the angle condition. So the angle condition here will determine at what boundary are we having a locus that is existed. So to find the angle condition, there's a general formula we have to apply. The formula is giving us the angle of what the denominator g of s plus angle of k is equals to 180 plus 1 minus 360. So the angle of the characteristic equation that g of s is equals to angle of s plus 1 into s plus 2 then minus angle of k is equals to 180 plus 1 minus 360. Okay, from here we can further simplify to s plus 1 plus angle of s plus 2. Okay, since we are not having any pole, so the angle that lies in the pole is 0. Minus 0 is equal to 180 plus 1 minus. Okay, now for we to determine the angle towards which all the poles can work. Okay, from our explain determine at what boundary does the locus exist. Already we are having a pole at s is equal to minus 1 and s is equal to minus 2. Okay, let's form like 3 boundaries here. Let's say we're having a boundary at this location and a boundary at this location also. So from minus 1 to infinity, so among all the two poles, what angles do they make? Let's say we have another point here. At this point, let's call it P1. What angle did this pole make this point, and what angle does this pole make toward this pole again. So as you can see, we have to take angle as towards clockwise, no, anti-clockwise, sorry. The angle will be taken in clockwise direction in this form. So as you can see here, for you to take the angle here, we'll be having something like this. So the angle this pole minus 1 make with this point is what, 360. So the other pole again is having another angle of what, 360. So we have to sum the following angles and find if they are equals to either 180 or they are equals to 180 plus or minus 360. So the first pole has minus 1 make an angle of 360, and again the 360 angle is the same thing as 0. If you can find the sine 360 and sine 0, all of them will be equals to 0. So angle of s plus 1 make an angle of 0 with 0.1, and the angle of s plus 2 also make angle of 0 degrees with regards to pole 1. So 0 plus 0 is not equals to 180. So at this point 3, here that's from minus 1 to infinity, locus does not exist. So here no locus. Here moving towards to the second boundary, we have another point, let's say, in between the boundary, that's here point P2. So also you have to find the angle this pole make with this point and also this pole. So taking minus 1 as the first pole, we'll find out that it has made an angle of 180. That's from from the pole to the point, we have an angle of what, 180. And again, the other pole that's minus 2 is also having an angle of what, 360. That's the same thing as 0 degrees. So from the boundary of minus 1 to minus 2, angle of s plus 1, it makes an angle of 180 with a point 2, and angle of s plus 2 make an angle of 0 degrees, which is the same thing as 360 degrees. So now we will verify whether the summation of the angles is the same thing as 180. So we are having 180 degrees plus 0, which is equals to 180 degrees. So in this boundary, this shows that there is a locus that exists. So at boundary of minus 1 to minus 2, there is a locus that is existing there. So again, we have to verify whether we will have another locus from minus 2 to infinity. So now from minus 2 to infinity, we have to place another point, let's call it point 3. Okay, now we have to verify whether these poles make an angle. Now from minus 1 to point 3, we will have an angle of 180. And again from minus 2 to point 3, we also have an angle of 180. So at boundary of minus 2 to infinity, angle of s plus 2 is equals to 180, and again angle of s plus 1 is equals to 180. So to verify the summation of the angles, whether both of them are equals to 180, so we're having 180 plus 180 not equals to 180 degree. So from that boundary you can verify that there is no locus existing there. Okay, now we have seen that locus exists only between the boundary of minus 1 and minus 2. So among the steps now we have to use before finding the locus. The next step here is we have to find the breakaway point. The breakaway point is the point at which the two poles will be trying to find their own zeros. Now from the question we have find out we don't have any pole, we don't have any zero, sorry. So we will find the direction at which what the two poles are following. So we are to following back from the characteristic equation. We are having x squared plus 3x plus 2 plus k is equals to 0. Now making use of the formula, we are having minus k is equals to x squared plus 3s plus 2. So now to find the breakaway point, we have to differentiate d of k with respect to s. So minus d of k with respect to ds, we are having 2s plus 3. So now we have to get 2s plus 3 to be equals to 0. Finally, s is equals to minus 3 over 2, which is the same thing as minus 1.5. Okay, so the drawing S plane we see that we're having minus 1 here already and minus 2 as our poles. So at this point, let's call this point to be minus 1.5. At this boundary here, we're having our breakaway point. So next step, we have to find the number of asymptotes. So the formula to find the number of asymptotes is given as number of poles minus number of zeros. Now from the characteristic equation, we see that the total number of poles that we have found altogether is minus 1 and minus 2. So this account the total number of two poles, and the zeros we are having no any zeros there. So this one will be 2 minus 0. So the number of asymptotes here will be what? 2. Okay, now since we have found the total number of asymptotes to be 2, so the next step here is for us to determine the points at which the asymptotes cross what the real axis. So with this point, we will try to verify the direction at which the two poles emanate. So the point at which the asymptotes leave the axis, the real axis, there's a formula for us to find that point. So the formula is given as the summation of poles minus summation of zeros all over the total number of asymptotes. So the summation of poles we having already we have found our poles to be minus 1 plus minus 2, and the total number of zeros we are having already is 0. So and the number of asymptotes altogether we are having was 2. So minus 1 now plus minus 2 we are having minus 3 and minus 0 all over 2. Here we are having minus 3 all over 2, which is the same thing as minus 1.5. Okay, having found the number of the point at which the asymptotes level axis, so we also have to find the angle at which these asymptotes follow towards what infinity, since we're not having any points, any zeros there. So again, the formula to find the angle of asymptotes is given us a of a is equals to 180 plus or minus 360 all over the number of what asymptotes. So we're having 180 plus or minus 360 all over 2 as our the number of asymptotes. Okay, here we are having an angle of 90 degrees plus or minus 180 degrees. So now summarizing all the points we have gotten from the steps, that's in summary. We'll find the number of asymptotes to be 2 and the point at which the two asymptotes leave the real axis was found to be minus 1.5. And again, the breakaway point was found to be also minus 1.5. So the angle of asymptotes as A of A was found to be 90 degrees plus or minus 180 degrees. So from here, we will have to plot all these points in the S-plane. Thus, we have finalized with the locus diagram. Okay, from the S-plane here already, we know that we are having the pole at minus 1 and another pole at minus 2. The breakaway point here, as B of A, is going to be minus 1.5. So from here, we try to find the direction at which this pole emanates and the other pole. So this pole does minus 1 start moving from minus 1 and it reaches a point that's a breakaway point and it stops. And the other point does minus 2 starting moving from minus 2 and it reaches the breakaway point and it stops. So from here, we will use the angle of asymptotes. That's the angle at which this pole leave what the axis and the other pole. Okay, from the values gotten from the angle of asymptotes, the pole at minus 1 make an angle of 90 degrees. The pole make an angle of 90 degrees. Let's say 90 degrees. So the other pole make an angle of 180 degrees from the point at which the first pole stop. So it makes an angle of 180 degrees. So from here to here, it's an angle of 180 degrees. Okay, now we have come to the solution of the system. So now we see that since we are having two poles and a known pole, we are having two poles here and we have no any other zeros. Already from the law of the root locus, all poles emanate to a 0. So here we're not having any 0. So minus 1 pole started from minus 1 and it moves towards the breakaway point and it emanates at angle of 90 degrees towards infinity. So the other pole that's minus 2 started moving at minus 2. It now moves to a breakaway point also. It now makes an angle of 180 degrees with respect to the first pole. It moves towards 180 degree and also find its way to infinity. Assuming we are having another zeros here, the first pole we will try to find its zero at infinity, but here we are not having any zeros. So the first pole emanates from minus 1, it moves to infinity, and the other pole emanates from minus 2, it moves to also infinity. So we have come to end of this question. So if you have any suggestion or any comment, you can post it under the comment section. Thank you for your time.